you pulled that off better than anyone else there.
Only you and my mother feel that way.
How's it going, Paul?
Mr. Mullally, it's nice to meet you, man. Who's on your shirt? Is that Okada?
Okada and Naito.
Beautiful.
Back, I think, the first title defense when he lost. It's a good match, man.
Love it.
Yeah, so how's it going? I mean, everything's going amazing for you. It's fantastic to see.
Thanks, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, from a career standpoint, things are pretty darn good. A Disney movie especially is like, I feel like a lot of actors have a checklist of the roles they really want to try out. And at the top of the list is like courtroom drama, Western, maybe a high-end horror film. Disney is somewhere in the top 5 things everybody wants to do, you know?
And absolutely. And I'm sure it also means more, considering, I, Tonya was this, really breakout moment for you. Did he just call you up and say, okay, I think I have the role for you? Or did you, how did that whole process go through for you?
Yeah, Craig had used me in I, Tonya, obviously, and we loved working together. But, I really didn't think there'd be room for me in this movie. It's just such a large scope film. And what Craig and I did with I, Tonya was a $10-11 million, character-driven indie movie. So I was very, very happy and lucky to get invited onto this. He had me audition because Disney said we need to know that he can do the accent. We don't care that he's your friend. Make sure he can do a Cockney accent. And I guess I did a good enough job where Disney gave me the thumbs up, and here I am.
Just don't do a Dick Van Dyke, I guess.
No, don't go too over the top. Don't do that. No, I mean, at the same time, it's a Disney movie. We're not doing Pride and Prejudice directed by Joe Wright. It's good to get the accent down, but I think Disney fans will be forgiving if it's not perfect. If I don't do a perfect Ray Winstone, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the interesting thing about this movie for me is that, obviously we're bringing to life a villain, like a murderer of dogs. But at the same time, there's such a goodness to these characters. And I was wondering, like, okay, is all that intentional, or just the fact that you've cast, the nicest people in Hollywood with like Paul and like Emma, and just their goodness kind of radiates through? Like, were you trying to bring like an empathy to this character, or like what was the balance like that behind the scenes?
Yeah, I think the same with the same thing with Bryan Cranston being cast from Malcolm in the Middle to Breaking Bad, this TV dad we all love, to being this anti-hero. I think it is wise to cast your anti-heroes and potentially dark figures of people that have a sweeter, jovial, enlightened sense to them. I think that's perfectly said, the way you said that. You mentioned like, Cruella's a dog murderer or whatever. Obviously, Disney loves dogs. We're not ever, I think I can speak for Disney when I say we're never going to make the scary, ugly, mean cruelty toward dog movie. I don't really think that's going to happen. But we insinuate, and we play with the edginess you can play with in the Disney universe,
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think there's a compassion that kind of runs through all of your characters. And I think, for me, Richard Jewell is my favorite performance in the last 10 years. Like, I'm not just like kissing her ass on that. Like, that's why.
Thank you, dude.
I mean, really, I think, and there's just, I consider that. I mean, do you feel that compassion for the characters you play is kind of rooted in your own spirituality and like the way that you see the world? Is that just something that comes through in the way that you, approach each performance?
I think there's some element of faith. I think my element of faith, or just loving people in general, I think does come through. And when you play a villain, whether it's in a Disney film or what I'm doing right now on a limited series, where it's a little darker and moodier, I think empathy is a big deal. I think empathy is necessary to love the character, to bring it to life. And with the people I'm playing, I've played real people, or in this case with Horace, I'm playing someone you've seen in another iteration of the film. You do have to bring your own stuff to it, and your heart and your love and your empathy, to me, is as important as anything. And I tell actors that when I sometimes get asked to guest teach like a class or a workshop, and when I do it, I think they're thinking I'm going to give them tips on acting, and it's more like, here are tips to survive life while you try to act, you know. And one of them is for sure empathy, which goes both ways.
Yeah, of course. And like, you know, your love for film and your just like genuine heartedness, I think is what you can kind of trace your entire career to, you know. I'm sure in some ways.
Also taking people seriously, right? Like Sean Eckhart and Tonya, Richard Jewell, even this character Horace. Like, I think I personally fight to be taken seriously all the time because of my appearance and because of the characters I play. So that's like an insecurity, right? It's an insecurity to be taken seriously. But I find that in most of the characters I play, they're all trying to be taken seriously and kind of getting laughed at. And they have to rise to the occasion for better or worse, you know?
Yeah. What was the improvisation like in this? Like how much made it into the final cut of what you were able to bring to it? And like what kind of things were you trying to riff off of?
Oh, I think it was just kind of keeping it real and having the enthusiasm. So it's not about finding the most brilliant line. Sometimes it's just about the appropriate line. And then the appropriate line is so appropriate, it does get a laugh. There's a scene where I come down on a rope from the ceiling with Joel Fry. And, you know, that was really us. And we're suspended with, you know, the high wire act. We're doing that for 30, 40 minutes, trying to play it cool, secretly a little terrified. But every time we plop down, there's a little beat of quiet where I got to like throw in a line. And I think in the movie, I look at the guard who's sleeping and I say something like, well, he's a bit of a blanket or something like that. I call the guy a blanket. Like, I don't even know what that means. But in the moment, that felt like a thing to say. And it's in the movie. So clearly our editor and our director thought it was the right thing to say too. So that's what I mean by funny is funny and funny's great, but a lot of improv is usually trying to be appropriate to the moment. And if I can be extra funny or think of some angle on a line, I'll obviously try to do that. But yeah, I would say there's maybe 8 or 9 lines in the movie that I kind of changed or improvised for sure.
Yeah, true. And like the physicality that you brought, for example, when you're like done up in the wig and the dress and just rocking it, just fantastic, man. There's such a look.
That's me taking one for Disney, man. That's
how did you feel to be the best looking person in that room? Like you pulled that off better than anyone else there.
Only you and my mother feel that way. Yeah, no, that was fun. I think I did a suit of armor. Yeah. The suit of armor, you know, hiding in the suit of armor, which is very kind of, you know, Looney Tunes. That was shot, and then Craig was like, I have this idea. I need approval. I think Disney will let me do it, but I want to put you in a dress and have you be one of the Cruellas. And I was like, yeah, man, let's do it. Let's surprise people with that fun little turn, you know, where you're on the back of my head and then I kind of turn into frame and you know it's me.
Oh, it was good. It was really good. And I mean, you said that, you know, you're thinking of like you'd love to play, you know, Chris Farley, for example, but you said you have got like a really short window on that. Can you walk me through like you know, the impetus behind, you know, wanting to transform yourself and the way that, you know, that you foresee your career with that is like you as a person? I know, sorry, it's a personal question, but
no,
I think it was so interesting.
I mean, it bleeds into work, so I don't mind that. I've always just wanted to lose weight and get healthy. And I think, you know, none of these roles ever required me to be in good health. And recently I got cast in a series at Apple where they want me to play a serial killer, which I'm in New Orleans shooting that right now. But that's a real guy I'm playing in a true crime scenario. So I looked at photos of him and I'm like, dude, I was 286 pounds at the start of the year. I'm probably 285, 290 in Cruella. I can't do this anymore. So I dropped 40 pounds to play this character in this limited series. I'm down to about 246, I think, right now. But thanks, man. But I intend to just keep doing that. And if they make a Cruella 2 and they're like, hey, we need you to gain 70 pounds to play Horace again, I'm going to politely tell them. I don't think that's going to happen, but you know, I don't know. I think the Chris Farleys and the Ignatius J. Rileys and the Rob Fords, all these guys I could play that could be hilarious and iconic and heavy set. There's about a 3 to 5 month time window where those are going to have to show up. And if they don't, I'm going to start to look a lot more Jonah Hill, Chris Pratt than Paul Hauser.
Yeah. No, I'm sure. But I mean, if they can bring Grand Moff Tarkin back to life, like I'm sure they can do something in post.
Oh man, between your T-shirt and the Grand Moff Tarkin, you've had more coffee than me.
I have. All right, man. Well, it's a great pleasure speaking with you.
Mr.
Mullally, speak to you again.
God bless you, brother. Talk soon, I hope.
You too, man. Take care. Congratulations on the film.
Thank you.